As spring unfolded in the quiet town of Chesterfield, the Parker family arrived filled with renewed hope. Ethan and Emily, along with their young son Ben, settled into an old yellow house on the outskirts, chosen for its historic charm and serene setting, a stark contrast to the chaos of city life they were leaving behind. The house exuded an undeniable weight from generations past. Tall, swaying trees shielded the overgrown garden, and shadows danced across weathered windows. On the surface, the wind's gentle howling and rhythmic pulse of crickets offered comfort after years of constant noise. Yet from the very first days, uncanny little details began to pierce that calm. Shutters creaked at odd hours, and some lights flickered at night, as if the house itself were whispering secrets. Emily, naturally sensitive to her surroundings, soon noticed a persistent chill in the air, even with the heaters running full blast. Occasionally, she heard faint whispers and spotted small, inexplicable footprints by the hallway rugs, though Ben was always fast asleep. Ethan, a born skeptic, rationalized every strange noise and shifting shadow, determined to create a safe space for Ben with bedtime routines and imaginative stories. Still, it wasn't long before they noticed unsettling changes in their son's behavior. Ben often stood frozen in the dusky corners of his room, or whispered at night about someone tapping on his window. For Emily and Ethan, this was supposed to be a new beginning, but even for Ben, the old house seemed to awaken something invisible, something both elusive and intense. From that moment, the passage of time within those walls grew somehow distorted. Sunlit days seemed strangely long in the Virginia spring, and nightfall always pressed down thick and suffocating on the family. Ben's drawings grew darker, filled with faceless figures and long-reaching hands, always sketched during his uneasy evenings. Ethan found himself roaming the halls at 3 a.m. after waking to whispered voices from Ben's room, only to find his son curled up, trembling. The tension became woven into their daily routine, each Parker clinging to hope that it was simply an adjustment period. The house, alive with echoes of another era, had not yet given them any real reason for fear, but beneath the surface of each day lingered the sense that everything could change in a single, silent moment. If true, mysterious stories like this one spark your curiosity, make sure to subscribe to the channel, share your own supernatural experiences in the comments, turn on notifications, and join our growing community of people who want to understand the unexplainable. Your story might illuminate the next chapter of this and other chilling journeys. As the Parker family fully settled into the Chesterfield house, their initial excitement quickly merged with the discomfort of living among walls, steeped in an unfamiliar past. Ethan busied himself arranging furniture, hoping to create a welcoming atmosphere, but continually stumbled upon small, forgotten items wedged in the floorboard. Old hair ribbons, rusted buttons, all silent witnesses to long-gone lives. Emily tended the overgrown garden, striving to spark new life in tangled roots, and tried to set a routine with Ben, who clung tightly to a plush bear, as if it might guard him against imagined dangers. However, the nights exposed the home's deeper secrets. During the first storm, windows burst open and slammed violently, leaving Ben running for his mother's arms, whispering that someone had called his name. Ethan tried to explain it away as the sound of weather, but the worried glances he exchanged with Emily betrayed his unease. The house itself seemed to split into two worlds, a safe, sun-drenched sanctuary by day, and by night a place of lurking threats. Emily watched Ben startle awake more often, sometimes sobbing softly and pleading to sleep in their bed, a break from his usual independence. She sought to comfort him with tales of forest guardians and magical animals hidden beyond their yard, but Ben's gaze frequently drifted to his own closet, captivated by an invisible presence, until sleep finally claimed him. Footsteps echoed through the house on certain nights, quiet but distinct, as if someone else wandered the rooms. Ethan, battling growing discomfort, attempted to rationalize everything as the quirks of an old home, yet Ben's silent fear made it clear that something more was amiss. Soon, Ben's drawings reflected the change. Women in flowing gowns, dark figures standing by his bed, mysterious objects hovering over his crib. Emily, at first amused, grew wary, as repetitive patterns emerged, images that seemed drawn from some source beyond a child's simple imagination. Ethan was growing more exhausted by the day, as their sleep fractured around Ben's restless nights and the unexplained clatter of household objects. Tensions escalated with every small, unexplainable scare as the couple quietly debated whether to seek outside help or try to endure alone. Life in the old house became a string of unsettling incidents and creeping doubts that colored every corner. Each restless night threaded a new layer of dread through their lives. The house magnified every underlying fear, turning fleeting anxieties into silent terrors. One wet evening, during a relentless storm, Emily found Ben sitting alone in the hallway, staring into the dark. She approached gently and called his name, but he simply replied that he was waiting for the lady to leave the room. Ethan, witnessing this, could not shake the sudden chill running down his spine. Even he had to admit Ben's unease was more profound than mere resistance to change. The Parker family now faced not only a house brimming with history, but also an unfamiliar challenge, protecting their son from something they could not see. Failing to find rational explanations, the Parkers started documenting every odd occurrence in a notebook. Strange noises, unfamiliar smells, Ben's cryptic sleep talk, the kind of details easy to dismiss until they pile up. Emily sometimes wondered if anxiety made them exaggerate, but the steady stream of incidents told otherwise. Adjusting to a new home was supposed to be hard, but nothing had prepared them for those first harrowing days in Chesterfield, when shadows crept not just through the halls, but into the very heart of their family. As the weeks passed in the Chesterfield house, Ben's behavior became increasingly unsettling. The once lively, talkative boy grew quiet and withdrawn, his eyes tracking the darker corners of every room with apprehension. His parents tried to preserve harmony in the home, but couldn't overlook Ben's frequent questions about the lady in the long dress, a figure he described in chilling detail, always with the same uncanny accuracy. Ethan and Emily gently dismissed his stories at first, but the sense of something unseen interacting with Ben only deepened. At night, Ben whispered softly for fear of waking the lady, telling his mother he felt a cold rush whenever she came through the bedroom wall. The house's reputation among the neighbors was well known. People spoke of it in hushed tones, saying that decades earlier, children who lived there would fall mysteriously ill or suffer from relentless nightmares. Wanting to protect Ben, Emily dove into old library archives in search of news articles and records about the house's previous residents, hoping to find some logical explanation for the boy's experiences. Ethan doubled down on vigilance, patrolling the house each time a strange noise broke the midnight silence. Still, he found nothing except Ben's frightened gaze waiting by the door. Every event, no matter how small, was faithfully recorded in their family notebook, laying the groundwork in case they needed to seek help with evidence rather than just stories. Fear shifted from a distant feeling to something nearly tangible when Emily found a rusted brooch among Ben's belongings, identical to the ones he'd drawn many times. No one in the family recognized it, and its sudden presence left her unsettled. That same week, Ben's toys started vanishing, only to reappear in unexpected places, sometimes even outside the house, as if moved by unseen hands. Nights grew heavier with whispers, hurried footsteps, and without fail, Ben would wake in terror at precisely 3 in the morning. Each event reinforced the chilling sense that someone was sharing their home. The mounting strangeness left the Parkers exhausted, their nerves fraying with each new, unexplained occurrence. Their days became a series of jump scares, a music box playing by itself, doors closing with no wind, and uncanny shadows cutting across empty halls. Ben increasingly filled page after page with drawings of a pale woman, her fingers long and hair trailing, declaring her to be the lady who hates the light. The lingering fear drove the family to consider drastic measures, like moving away or calling paranormal investigators. Concerned they'd be dismissed as irrational, they held off, clinging to routine in hopes of protecting Ben and themselves. Day by day, their document of oddities grew. Notes, drawings, Ben's testimony, a fragile shield in their fight with the unknown. Even with all their precautions, the worst felt yet to come. Night by night, the signs pointed to something larger at play, a presence that was growing bolder and more dangerous. The Parkers waited, united in dread, dread, aware the real truth was only starting to reveal itself, and that their darkest trials might still be ahead. As the clock struck 3 each night, the Parker home would fall into tense silence, interrupted only by Ben's restless murmurs from his room. It was always at this hour that Ben seemed most unsettled, whispering softly, trembling beneath his blankets, his wide eyes stuck to a shadowy corner. Driven by mounting fear and desperation for answers, Ethan decided to secretly install a security camera in Ben's bedroom, hoping to finally capture something concrete. He expected to see Ben tossing and turning, or perhaps wandering in his sleep, believing that a logical explanation was close at hand. What the footage revealed, however, shook the family to their core. On the first night with the camera in place, Ethan and Emily sat awake, anxiously watching the monitor. The hours dragged on as Ben twisted restlessly, mumbling to himself and glancing around as if expecting someone to appear. Right at 3 o'clock, the lights flickered sharply and a suffocating weight seemed to settle over the house. On the screen, a long, indistinct shadow slid across the wall and paused by Ben's bed. For what felt like an eternity, the child stared unblinking at the shadowed figure before ducking under his covers in a desperate attempt at self-preservation. Emily's heart broke at the sight. There was no way to shield her son from what they barely began to understand. The couple watched the footage over and over, searching for rational excuses, while the evidence was undeniable. The same occurrence, almost to the minute, repeated itself on following nights. At 3 a.m., the shadow returned, its presence sparking whispers from Ben and uneasy movements throughout the house. Sometimes Ben would interact directly, uttering hushed responses as if in conversation with the unseen visitor. The disturbing consistency left the Parkers shaken, their sense of safety completely eroded by what the cold, unwavering lens revealed. Determined to find answers, Emily reached out to longtime neighbors, gently probing for any stories or knowledge about their home's history. She was told of old tragedies, previous families haunted by unexplainable illnesses and losses, and whispered legends of a woman who cared for local children until she, too, vanished without a trace. Every detail matched too closely with the shadow on the recording and the figure in Ben's drawing. Ethan, meanwhile, began a rigid daily log of everything that happened night after night, hoping to find a pattern that might lead to clarity. Whatever faith they had in logic and science was now in competition with something far stranger, an invisible force that felt increasingly dangerous with each passing day. The Parker family, now fully confronted by the unknown, gathered each evening to discuss what they'd witnessed and map out a plan to keep Ben safe. The cameras, the nightly logs, the prayers whispered in secret. These were now their tools, their only defense against an adversary that defied all understanding. Each new night brought the possibility of a breakthrough or another chilling encounter with a shadow that would not let them go. Faced with mounting tension, Ethan and Emily realized they had no choice but to take bold action to protect Ben and restore even a semblance of peace. Armed with their notebook of events, Ben's drawings, and the unsettling camera footage, they worked to map every pattern and detail, always centering on that relentless hour of 3 a.m., their evenings filled with silent debates about superstition, science, and faith. In desperation, they sought out professional help, a child psychologist, and a local team of paranormal investigators, both of whom pored over the Parker family's evidence. The psychologist spoke with caution, suggesting Ben's sensitivity to the environment, but found no clinical explanation that matched what the footage revealed. The investigators, meanwhile, filled the house with specialized equipment, motion sensors, recorders, and infrared cameras, turning Ben's room into a labyrinth of blinking lights and silent anticipation. Over 2 sleepless nights, the cameras picked up strange whispers, muffled voices that, when enhanced, formed pleading phrases, words begging for quiet and rest. One recording captured a raspy voice softly calling Ben's name, shadowed again by the spectral presence of the woman seen before. For Ethan, any denial was gone. The family was now deeply enmeshed in forces beyond ordinary comprehension. Emily's research led her to the town's historical archives, where she discovered the story of Mary Roberts, a former caretaker who vanished without explanation over 50 years ago. Old news clippings and rumors hinted at tragedy, children sickening or drifting into night terrors under Mary's care, neighbors insisting something was wrong within those yellowed walls. The details eerily matched Ben's experiences, right down to descriptions of the woman in the long dress and the nightly whispers. Driven by mounting anxiety and fear of the unknown, Emily and Ethan tried religious rituals for protection, burning herbs, reciting prayers, and sharing their story with other mothers who had faced inexplicable hauntings in their own homes. The family made a pact to support one another completely. They stopped hiding their worries and encouraged Ben to speak openly about his feelings and experiences. As the boy found relief in his parents' steadfast presence, the haunting occurrences began to subside. Still present, but growing weaker, the Parkers shifted furniture, cleansed rooms with sweet-smelling smoke, and spent days searching the house for hidden corners where fear seemed to gather. Little by little, the home started to feel less suffocating, its oppressive weight gradually lifting as the family grew stronger together. While these interventions didn't erase the supernatural entirely, they gave the Parkers back a sense of agency and hope. They realized some questions might never be answered, but that confronting the unknown as a united family could be the most important victory of all. Bonds within the home deepened, routines were rebuilt, and moments of laughter appeared where once there had only been dread. The Chesterfield house, though forever altered, was no longer a place of surrender, but a place where the will to protect and persevere was stronger than the fear itself. As the months passed, the Parker family's relationship with the Chesterfield house began to change. What was once a source of paralyzing fear became, with time, a place of cautious respect and eventually renewal. Ben gradually rediscovered his cheerful self, though he continued to steer clear of dark corners after dusk. Emily and Ethan learned to cherish small victories, a peaceful night's sleep, an undisturbed meal, or the sound of Ben's laughter, all precious milestones that signaled progress and healing. Their once haunted family notebook shifted from chronicling terrifying incidents to capturing stories of resilience and warm evenings together. While the sensation of a lingering presence hadn't fully vanished, they felt certain that the worst had passed and that the house was, at last, ready to welcome them. Finding meaning in their ordeal, Emily became active in the local community, using her experience to help other families uncover the histories of their own old homes. What had once been a topic of hushed gossip in Chesterfield became grounds for neighborhood gatherings and support networks. Conversations about the supernatural were now approached with openness and empathy, transforming fear into solidarity. Ben, now recognized and cherished by local children, could talk about his experiences without feeling alone or ashamed. The old house, a symbol of dread, was gradually woven into the fabric of communal life as a source of stories and new friendships. Ethan, formerly a stubborn skeptic, learned to accept the existence of things that defy easy explanation. He realized that true protection sometimes means facing the problem openly rather than ignoring it or fleeing. On stormy nights, the family would occasionally revisit the old footage and diary, not with terror, but with a sense of triumph. They had survived, learned, and grown together. Ben's drawings, once filled with dark and frightening shapes, became colorful and hopeful, a sign that the shadows no longer ruled his imagination. The supernatural events finally faded, replaced by peace born from courage and unity. The Chesterfield house was transformed. Fresh paint covered old scars, laughter overpowered long echoes, and new photographs filled the hallways where only shadows lingered before. Each family celebration, a birthday, holiday, or simple gathering, was now a testament to their journey and their victory over fear. Through it all, Ben's newfound confidence, Emily's quiet resilience, and Ethan's earnest warmth became the foundation of the family's new life. The house, once marked by tragedy, now stood as proof of healing, growth, and the power of love. And so, with hope restored, the Parker family moved forward, always ready to face any shadow of the past, certain they could overcome whatever new beginning the future might bring. Over time, the Parkers' story became more than just another collection of strange occurrences in an old house. It turned into a testament to resilience and the power of family in the face of the unknown. The Chesterfield house, haunted by fragments of the past, was gradually transformed by the family's daily victories. Beyond any supernatural phenomenon, it was their willingness to confront fear together, to search for answers, and to embrace the inexplicable that truly defined defined their experience. Looking back, they realized that their greatest challenge was not simply surviving the unexplainable, but learning to protect and strengthen each other, despite lingering uncertainties. This journey didn't just reshape their home, it also deepened the bonds between them. Emily balanced empathy and courage. Ethan rediscovered the importance of believing in those closest to him. And Ben, whose childhood had once been shadowed by restless nights, found security and comfort in his parents' unwavering support. Over time, the family enjoyed quieter days filled with warmth, affection, and ordinary joys. Each moment a small, brave step forward. The old notebook, once filled with records of sleepless nights and unexplained happenings, became a keepsake, a reminder of what they had endured and overcome. To the Parkers, true courage lay not in denying or escaping the unknown, but in facing it together, listening, sharing, and growing stronger as a family. Though memories of fear lingered, they now saw each new day as an opportunity, a chance for new beginnings, healing, and togetherness. The legacy of the Chesterfield house in the end was not one of hauntings and shadows, but of hope, renewal, and the unbreakable spirit of a family determined to make any place their home.